Most of us breathe all day without ever thinking about it. Yet how you breathe quietly, through your nose or unconsciously through your mouth, can shape your energy, your sleep, and how rested you feel when you wake up each morning. Breathing is the first thing we do when life begins, and the last thing we release at the end. Yet somewhere in between, it becomes almost invisible. It continues faithfully, moment after moment, without asking for attention. Over decades, it settles into habits so familiar that they feel like part of the body itself, unquestioned and unnoticed. Most people did not choose how they breathe. It formed quietly, shaped by posture, stress, illness, work, and emotion. Long hours spent leaning forward, moments of worry held in the chest, years of rushing from one responsibility to another, all of these leave gentle marks on breathing. Not dramatic changes, but subtle ones. A slightly open mouth, a shallow rhythm, a breath that lifts the shoulders instead of filling the body. For many seniors, breathing has followed the same pattern for years. It works well enough to keep life moving, so it never demands attention. But what is familiar is not always what is supportive. Small patterns, repeated thousands of times each day, slowly influence how the body feels at rest. During waking hours, breathing often mirrors our state of mind. When life feels hurried, breath becomes quicker. When tension lingers, breath stays high in the chest. Over time, the body learns this rhythm and begins to treat it as normal. The nervous system adapts, muscles adjust. Even moments of quiet carry traces of old urgency. What many people do not realize is that the body does not reset itself automatically at night. The patterns practiced during the day often carry into sleep. The same shallow rhythm, the same open mouth, the same subtle tension. Sleep then becomes lighter, more fragmented, not always because of age, but because the body never fully transitions into deep rest. This is not about blame or fault. These habits were formed while living full lives, raising families, working long hours, caring for others. Breathing adapted to support those demands. But later in life, when the body seeks more restoration, those old patterns may no longer serve the same purpose. The power of everyday breathing lies in its quiet influence. A breath taken thousands of times a day becomes a constant message to the body. It tells the nervous system whether to stay alert or to soften. It tells muscles whether to brace or release. It shapes how easily rest arrives when the lights go out. Many seniors notice changes in sleep without understanding why. Falling asleep takes longer. Waking feels incomplete. The night feels restless without a clear reason. Often, breathing is not considered because it has always been there, quietly doing its job. Yet it may be doing it in a way learned long ago, under very different circumstances. Awareness is the first gentle step, not correction, not technique, simply noticing. Where does the breath move during the day? Is it quiet or rushed? Does it pass through the nose or the mouth without thought? These questions are not meant to judge, only to observe. When awareness returns to breathing, something subtle shifts. The body feels seen. The breath becomes less mechanical and more responsive. This does not require effort or discipline. It begins with curiosity and patience. Everyday breathing holds more influence than it appears, not because it is dramatic, but because it is constant. Over time, small shifts during waking hours can prepare the body for deeper comfort and calmer nights. And often, the path to better rest begins not in the bedroom, but in the quiet moments of the day when breath is finally noticed again. Mouth breathing rarely begins as a conscious choice. It develops quietly, shaped by life's demands and the body's attempts to adapt. Over time, it becomes so familiar that it feels natural, even invisible. Many seniors are surprised to learn how long they may have been breathing this way without noticing. Stress is one of the strongest influences. When the mind feels pressured or alert, the body prepares itself to respond. Breathing becomes quicker and more direct, often shifting to the mouth without awareness. During busy years working, providing, worrying, this pattern can settle in. The body learns that readiness is safer than relaxation, and breathing adjusts accordingly. Posture also plays a quiet role. Decades spent leaning forward, looking down, or holding tension in the neck and shoulders gently compress the airway. Sitting for long periods, driving, reading, or working at desks changes how the head rests on the spine. As posture shifts, nasal breathing can feel less open, and the mouth steps in as an easier path. Congestion adds another layer. Seasonal allergies, colds, sinus discomfort, or dry indoor air encourage mouth breathing temporarily. But when these moments repeat over the years, temporary adjustments can turn into habits. The body remembers what once brought relief and returns to it automatically, even after the original cause has passed. Modern lifestyles have also shaped breathing patterns. Homes are more enclosed. Air is often dry. Daily movement is reduced. Time outdoors, where breathing naturally slows and deepens, has become less frequent for many. All of this influences how freely the nose is used for breathing. What makes mouth breathing especially persistent is that it works, at least on the surface. Air moves in and out. Life continues. There is no immediate alarm to signal a problem. Because the body adapts, the habit feels normal. Familiarity replaces awareness. Over time, the body begins to expect this pattern. Muscles adjust. The jaw relaxes open. The tongue rests lower. Nasal breathing may begin to feel unfamiliar or even slightly uncomfortable at first, not because it is wrong, but because it is unused. This discomfort reinforces the habit, making mouth breathing feel like the easier choice. Another reason this pattern persists is emotional memory. During moments of anxiety or effort, the mouth often opens instinctively. The body associates mouth breathing with coping. Even in calm moments, the breath may return there out of habit, carrying traces of old urgency. It is important to approach this understanding gently. Mouth breathing is not a failure or a flaw. It is the body's way of adapting to years of demands. It helped you through busy seasons of life. It served a purpose when it was needed. The goal is not to judge the habit, but to recognize it. Awareness creates choice. When you understand why something developed, it becomes easier to explore whether it still serves you now. For many seniors, simply realizing that mouth breathing has become the default is a quiet revelation. It opens the door to curiosity rather than correction. It invites the question of how breathing might feel if given the chance to soften and change. This understanding sets the stage for something new, not forceful change, but gentle exploration, not effort, but ease. And often, it begins with realizing that what feels normal today was shaped by yesterday, and that tomorrow's comfort may begin with noticing the breath you take right now. When breathing gently returns to the nose, the change is rarely dramatic. It does not arrive with a sudden feeling of transformation or a clear moment of realization. Instead, it unfolds quietly, like a room slowly settling after noise has faded. The body responds not with excitement, but with ease. Nasal breathing encourages a slower rhythm. Air enters in a more measured way, warming and softening as it passes through. This naturally invites the breath to deepen, not by force, but by design. The chest relaxes, the shoulders drop slightly. The body begins to receive a different message, one of steadiness rather than urgency. During the day, this steadier rhythm gently influences how the nervous system behaves. When breath moves calmly through the nose, the body is less inclined to stay in a state of alertness. Muscles loosen more easily. The mind feels less rushed. Thoughts still come and go, but they do so without the same sharp edge. Many seniors describe this change not as feeling energized, but as feeling settled. There is a subtle sense of balance, as if the body is no longer leaning forward into the next moment. This does not mean fatigue disappears or worries vanish. It means the body is no longer amplifying them through breath. Nasal breathing also invites greater awareness. Because it is quieter than mouth breathing, it becomes easier to notice. This awareness brings a natural pause. A small moment of presence during everyday activities, walking, reading, resting. These moments accumulate, gently retraining the body toward calm. As the day progresses, these steady patterns begin to prepare the body for rest. The body learns through repetition. When calm breathing is practiced while awake, it becomes familiar. And when night arrives, the body tends to follow what it knows. The transition into rest feels less abrupt, less resisted. Sleep readiness is not just about lying down, it is about whether the body feels safe enough to release the day. Steady nasal breathing throughout waking hours helps create that sense of safety. It tells the body that urgency is no longer required, that it is allowed to slow down. This does not mean sleep instantly becomes perfect or uninterrupted, but the body approaches it differently. There is less internal noise, less restlessness carried into the night. The breath, already accustomed to calm, continues its gentle rhythm. Another quiet change appears in how mornings feel. Waking may feel less abrupt. The body feels less tense. There is often a sense of having rested more deeply, even if sleep duration has not changed significantly. This difference comes not from effort, but from consistency. What is most important is that nasal breathing does not demand attention. It does not require discipline or control. It simply asks for allowance. When given space, it supports the body's natural preference for balance. In later life, this kind of support matters deeply. The body is no longer interested in constant stimulation or correction. It seeks harmony. Nasal breathing aligns with that desire, offering a steady companion through the day and into the night. The change it brings is not loud, it is gentle. And often, it is in this gentleness that the body finally finds the ease it has been quietly waiting for. The body is a creature of habit. It learns not through instruction, but through repetition. What it practices most often becomes its default. This is true of posture, movement, and especially breathing. The idea behind focusing on breathing during waking hours is simple. The body carries familiar patterns with it into rest. When the day is filled with hurried breath, shallow rhythm, or open-mouth breathing, the body grows accustomed to that state. Even when night arrives, the nervous system does not instantly change course. It continues along the path it knows. Sleep then begins on a foundation shaped by the entire day, not just the moments before bedtime. The idea of 80% while awake is not a rule or a promise. It is a way of understanding influence. Most breathing happens during the day. Those hours quietly train the body. They set expectations for what feels normal, safe, and familiar. Nighttime breathing often follows these expectations without conscious choice. Think of it like a musical rhythm. If the same tempo is played all day, the body begins to move to it automatically. Slowing the rhythm only at night can feel unnatural at first. But when the rhythm softens throughout the day, the body accepts it more easily when rest begins. Improving breathing while awake is not about constant attention. It is about gentle consistency. Small moments of nasal breathing, repeated naturally, send a steady message to the body. Over time, this message becomes familiar. Calm becomes recognizable. Nighttime comfort then becomes less about effort and more about continuation. The body does not have to switch gears abruptly. It simply continues what it has practiced. The breath flows as it has flowed all day, steadily, quietly, without urgency. This idea respects the body's intelligence. It does not demand change through force or technique. It trusts that the body responds best when given time and repetition. Especially in later life, this respect matters. The body no longer responds well to pressure. It responds to patience. For many seniors, this perspective brings relief. It removes the feeling that sleep problems must be solved at night. It reframes rest as something prepared for gradually through everyday moments. Sitting, walking, reading, resting, all become part of the process. There is also comfort in knowing that perfection is not required. Breathing does not need to be ideal all day. Awareness comes and goes. What matters is direction, not control. The body notices trends more than exceptions. As waking habits soften, the body becomes less reactive. Muscles release more easily. The nervous system settles more readily. Nighttime then feels less like a struggle and more like a natural descent. This approach honors the rhythm of aging. It aligns with the body's desire for continuity rather than correction. It acknowledges that rest is not something to be forced at the end of the day, but something to be invited throughout it. The 80% while awake idea is simply an invitation to look earlier, not harder. To understand that the night begins in the day, and that by tending gently to breathing while awake, the body is quietly guided toward greater comfort when it is time to sleep. At this stage of life, the body responds best to kindness. It has carried years of effort, adjustment, and endurance. It no longer needs to be pushed or corrected. When it comes to breathing, the most lasting changes come not from trying harder, but from noticing more gently. A sustainable approach begins with awareness. Not the kind that watches every breath closely, but the kind that checks in now and then, like a quiet companion. During ordinary moments, sitting by a window, walking across a room, waiting in line, there is an opportunity to notice where the breath is moving. Nothing needs to be fixed. The noticing itself is enough. When awareness returns, the body often adjusts on its own. The mouth closes without instruction. The breath softens without command. This happens because the body recognizes ease when it is allowed. Effort, on the other hand, tends to create tension, especially in later years. Trying to control the breath can make it feel tight or unnatural. Gentle guidance means offering the body an invitation, not a demand. If you notice the breath passing through the mouth, there is no need to correct it immediately. Simply noticing creates space. Often, the breath finds its way back to the nose naturally, as if remembering an old path. This approach fits easily into daily life because it does not require time set aside or special positions. It lives inside ordinary routines: reading, preparing food, resting in a chair. These moments become quiet opportunities for awareness, not tasks to complete. Sustainability also means allowing inconsistency. Some days, awareness comes easily. Other days, it disappears entirely. This is normal. The body learns over time, not through perfection. Patience becomes part of the practice. For seniors, this gentleness protects comfort. There is no strain on the chest, no forced rhythm, no sense of doing something wrong. The breath remains natural, simply given a little more space to move freely. There is also emotional ease in this approach. When breathing is guided gently, it does not become another responsibility or source of pressure. It becomes supportive rather than demanding. This is important because emotional tension often influences breathing as much as physical habit. Over time, these small moments of awareness begin to connect. The body recognizes the feeling of calm breathing and returns to it more often. Not because it is told to, but because it feels better. This way of approaching breathing honors the wisdom of age. It respects the body's pace and preferences. It aligns with a life that has learned the value of moderation and balance. What develops is not a technique, but a relationship with breath that is patient, forgiving, and steady. And in that relationship, change happens quietly, without struggle. This gentleness is what allows breathing habits to shift without resistance. It is what makes the approach sustainable, not just for a week or a month, but as a natural part of daily living. Sleep in later life is no longer just about hours. It is about depth, ease, and how gently the body lets go. Many seniors find that night arrives, but rest does not follow as easily as it once did. The body lies down, yet something inside remains alert, as if the day has not fully released its hold. Breathing awareness offers a quiet path through this experience, not as a solution to chase, but as a companion that slowly prepares the body for rest long before night begins. When the breath has been allowed to soften during the day, the body carries that softness with it into the evening. Small daytime changes matter more than they seem. A few moments of nasal breathing while sitting, a calmer rhythm while walking, a gentle awareness while resting in a chair. These moments do not announce themselves, but they accumulate. They teach the body that slowing down is safe. As evening approaches, the body responds to what it has practiced. There is less resistance. The transition from activity to rest feels smoother. The breath, already familiar with calm, continues its steady rhythm without needing instruction. This continuity allows the nervous system to settle more naturally. Longer sleep does not always mean uninterrupted sleep. It often means returning to rest more easily after waking. When breathing remains calm, the body is less likely to remain tense during the night. Waking moments pass more gently. The breath becomes an anchor that guides the body back toward rest. Calmer sleep also carries into waking life. Mornings feel less abrupt. The body feels more restored, even if sleep was not perfect. This sense of restoration grows gradually, shaped by consistency rather than effort. There is peace in knowing that rest does not have to be forced, that it can be supported quietly, through small choices made during the day. Breathing awareness offers this peace because it respects the body's rhythm. It does not demand change, it invites it. For seniors, this invitation is especially meaningful. The body has earned gentleness. It responds best when treated with patience and understanding. Breathing, when allowed to guide rather than be controlled, becomes a bridge between day and night. Over time, this bridge strengthens. The body begins to associate calm breathing with safety and rest. Sleep becomes less of a struggle and more of a continuation. Not always perfect, but more welcoming. Breathing as a path to sleep is not about achieving a goal. It is about creating conditions where rest can arrive on its own. It is about trusting that small shifts, repeated quietly, can influence how the night unfolds. In this way, breathing becomes more than a physical process. It becomes a form of care, a gentle reminder to slow down, to soften, to release what is no longer needed. And in doing so, it supports not just sleep, but a deeper sense of peace that carries through the night and into the morning. As this journey closes, the message remains simple. Rest grows where gentleness lives. And sometimes, the longest and calmest sleep begins with the quiet awareness of a single breath taken during the day.